Well, good evening, folks. We're going to go ahead and get started tonight. So welcome to the second of two public meetings that the Department of Transportation is hosting this summer on the four-year construction program, the Statewide Transportation Improvement Program, or what we like to call the STIP. My name is Mike Beam. I'm the Director of Planning and Engineering for the department. And I'd like to thank everybody for joining us, your willingness to participate, and of course, providing us your comments. I'd also like to inform you of a number of individuals within the department that are on the call tonight. We encourage strong attendance from our staff so they can hear from you directly, and also they're available for specific questions if they come up. A few folks that I want to introduce briefly will be Director Craig Smith. He'll speak later on. Craig's our Director of Operations for the department, so his team helps to manage all the construction projects and also works to ensure that those roads are safe in the winter and maintains with his team. We also, excuse me, have a region engineer is Todd Seaman with the Rapid City region, Mark Peterson with the Aberdeen region, and Jason Humphrey with the Pierre region, and Travis Dressen with the Sioux Falls Mitchell region. We also have Jeff Karam, one of the DOT commissioners, on the call here tonight, so thank you for joining us, Commissioner Karam. We also have a number of our area engineers from throughout the state on the call, again, to help answer any questions that may come up, and also to hear from you directly. With our Office of Project Development, who's responsible for the development of our statewide transportation improvement program, we have Mark Leiferman, we have Mark Rice, Steve Graham, and Levi Briggs, the coordinator for the STIP, joining us. The overall purpose of this meeting and public outreach is really to get input, your ideas and suggestions directly from you. Your comments, ideas, and any recommended changes will be provided to the South Dakota Transportation Commission at their August meeting for consideration and adoption. So please, again, share your thoughts and ideas tonight. I'd like to bring to your attention a variety of information that's available on our interactive meeting webpage. Hopefully, again, you've had a chance to take a look at the chat and click on that link that Julie provided earlier. To highlight a few things that you'll find on there, we have 3 economic development grants, the Agribusiness, Industrial Park, and Community Access grants. They can be submitted to the department for consideration. There's also information on the Federal Lands Access Program, Transportation Alternatives Program, our Transit STIP, and our Travel Transportation Program. There are fact sheets on the local bridge improvement grants as well. So tonight's format will include just a brief transportation overview by myself, and then Director Smith will share some information on a few upcoming construction projects. Then we'll open it up to you for comments and questions. So as I get started talking about our transportation program, I think it's important that you know where the funding comes that we use to help build and maintain infrastructures in South Dakota. Over 70% of our construction program is funded through the federal highway bill. The current bill is known as the Infrastructure and Investment Jobs Act. The bill is set to expire in September of this year. Although we don't know what the next highway bill will include, we are anticipating funding to be consistent with what we've invested through the Infrastructure and Investment Jobs Act. If things change, higher or lower, we'll need to adjust the construction program accordingly. So when the funds are there, how are they invested? South Dakota's transportation system includes over 1,800 bridges and 8,800 roadway miles from across our state. Investment in the system is really focused on 3 key areas: safety, condition, and capacity. All the transportation projects have at least one of those elements, and many of them include all 3. So as we look at calendar year 2025 and focus on safety, there are 123 fatalities reported across our state, far too many. Although that was approximately a 17% reduction when comparing 2024, we still have a long way to go to improve highway safety and get everyone home safe every day. So our next focus is on the condition of our system, with a goal of maintaining at least 80% of our pavements in good to excellent condition and 95% of our bridges in good to fair condition. DOT focuses heavily on pavement and bridge preservation activities, such as chip seals, pavement repairs. We also focus on resurfacing and, of course, reconstruction when the assets met the end of its useful life. Lastly, our focus is on highway capacity. In South Dakota, we're fortunate. We have very few capacity issues, and that is a wonderful thing. The vast majority of our capacity improvements on the state system are located with our 2 large metropolitan areas, Sioux Falls and Rapid City. Now that I've provided you a very brief overview of the transportation system and planned investments, I'd like to turn it over to Craig Smith, Director of Operations. He's going to share a few highlighted projects throughout the state. Craig?
Share some slides just to go through to want to highlight just some of the significant projects throughout the state. Just kind of go through each region. I'll first kind of point you to that picture on the lower left. If you go to our virtual meeting room, that is on the website. You should be able to find some of those links to direct you there in the chat this evening. That map that you see on the lower left, you'll find that in there, and then on the right is where you see a little larger inset of the map. You can go to each of those regions, and then within each region, there will be a list of projects. And as I go through the projects tonight, there will be a number that corresponds, and that corresponds to the reports that are in there. And I'm only going to hit on a few of the projects tonight. The list that is on the website within that virtual room will provide a lot more detail on all the projects that we currently have shown in our 4-year tentative construction program. So within each region, I'll highlight a few of the significant projects, starting with the Aberdeen region, just taking on one project in each year. In Aberdeen region, we have 4 urban reconstruction projects, with the first in 2027 on Highway 37 in Huron. Then the following year, there will be one in Fort Thompson. That is scheduled to be a 2-year construction project in 28 and 29. Then the last urban reconstruction shown is in Sisseton on Highway 10 in 2029. And then the last project shown there is Project 192 on Interstate 29, 2 bridges over the Big Sioux River that's south of Brookings. And as a summary of what we've got planned in Aberdeen region, there's about just short of $900 million worth of highway investments planned over the next 4 years. On the left, you can see the types of projects that we're planning there between the grading, surfacing, bridge, and safety projects. Within the Mitchell region, the first 2 projects shown are ones in the metro area within Sioux Falls. The Veterans Parkway will continue on from the section that's being completed this year from Sycamore Avenue to 57th Street, and will tie into the north-south piece of Veterans Parkway that has been completed. So that'll be done in 27 through 29 construction. The next project is the reconstruction of the Minnesota Avenue interchange on 229. That'll be a 2-year project in 28 and 29. The 29 project there, number 166, is on Highway 37 through Parkston. And then the last project in 2030 shown is a grading project on Highway 25 from Highway 50 to US Highway 18. The summary for Mitchell region, you can see a large number there, $1.2 billion over the next 4 years, with the breakout of the different grading, surfacing, bridge, and safety type projects on the left-hand side of the slide. Within the Pierre region, the 4 projects we got shown, the first in 2027 is on US 18, grading project from Highway 73 east to Antelope Road. In 2028, another grading project on Highway 63 from Highway 20 to the Morrow River. And then in 2029, another grading project on Highway 44 from Wood to the Tripp County line. And then the last project in 2030, number 186, is a structure project on Highway 34 over the Cheyenne River that will also include some grading work, as well as the addition of a turn lane project, or a turn lane with that project. The summary for the Pierre region, just under $550 million, again with the breakout of each of the project types within the Pierre region. The last Rapid City region, the 4 projects, the first in 2027 is on Interstate 90. Will be reconstruction at exit 32 west to exit 37, which will include the reconstruction of exit 34 along with 3 miles of Interstate 90. In 2028, project number 85 is in Custer on US Highway 16, a concrete reconstruction project. Grading project in 2029 on Highway 79 south of Slim Buttes. And then the last project shown in 2030 is a reconstruction project in Deadwood that'll include a box culvert for the Whitewood Creek through Deadwood. And so the summary for the Rapid City region is just over $900 million, again with the breakout for each of those types of projects on the left. And again, encourage you to go to the website. These are just a few of the key projects. Each of the regions has probably over 200 projects shown within that 4-year tentative program. And I would encourage you to go through there to get more detail about other projects that are shown in that tentative program. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Mike to move on to the question and comment section. So Mike, if you want to take it from there.
All right, thank you very much, Craig. And as Craig mentioned, I would like to direct you to our interactive STIP page. There's a lot of great information there. Several hundred, if not nearly 1,000 projects across the state of South Dakota coming up here, of course, the next 4 years. So again, there's that opportunity to learn more. So we reached point in the meeting for the public comment period. I'd like to remind everybody that this meeting is being recorded and it should be available on the DOT's website here in the next couple days. So when you're ready, please raise your hand in Zoom. And if you wouldn't, when you're called upon, state your name and where you're from and who you represent. Also, if you prefer to provide written comments, there are opportunities through DOT's website, or on the previous slide, you saw Levi's email address. There's a great opportunity there, or you can actually mail them into 700 East Broadway, and Levi will take them into consideration and share those with our Transportation Commission here at the end of August. For those of you participating using your phone, if we have anyone on their phone tonight, in order to unmute your line, you'll need to hit *6 to unmute. So with that, who's willing to go first? Looks like Bruce Schroeder has his hand up. Hi, Bruce.
Hey, Mike. I'm here with Jess Doyle from Custer County Highway.
Hey, Jess, how we doing tonight?
I'm good. I'll take a moment to thank everybody responsible for, and especially Bruce, for allowing me to pop in like this. I don't have a lot prepared. I just would like to open a line of communication with the DOT. In meeting with Bruce occasionally on some local projects, we really don't have any problems there. But during our most recent conversation, I brought up some concerns about increased tourism in Custer County and the relationship between South Dakota DOT, Custer County, and Custer State Park. I'm sure that most of the DOT knows that Custer County is a destination anymore, and we're a small department. We have 400 miles of road we're responsible for, and only 5 of that is hard surface. I have 12 guys, that's including myself. My administrative duties take precedence, but I also go in the field and work with the crew. I'm getting concerned at the amount of tourists that we're seeing and the pressure that's putting on our county government, simply because 48% of Custer County is untaxed land. A big share of that 48% is Custer State Park. The rest of it is national parks and U.S. Forest Service. We're maxed out, and with projected tourists in 27 in the park expected to be in the neighborhood of 2.5 to 2.7 million people. Frankly, that's bigger than my little department, guys. I need help, and I believe that this is a far bigger issue that can just be handled most certainly by Custer County. It's more than even Bruce's shop here or the park can handle. I really think we need to get together to make a plan for that many people. I think the numbers speak for themselves. And I don't know where to go from here, guys. That's why I'm asking for help, and I'd be happy to work with anybody, take any ideas, give any ideas. But before we get behind on this, I think it's better to start talking now than to wait until we're in a real bad way.
Yep. No, great foresight. I appreciate the conversation, and I think we do and are willing to visit with you. You know, one thing as you were talking that pops into my mind is we've got a set of funds set aside for local government planning, and we've seen some of the counties really take advantage of that. Jess, it helps them kind of take a look at, you know, what are their needs right now, what are their needs 5 years into the future, 10 years into the future, and look at that inventory. It helps kind of get a good comprehensive plan moving forward for, you know, what issues can you anticipate, where are the revenue projections, and it kind of puts, you know, everything into one basket, for lack of a better term, transportation wise for the county. Steve Graham with our planning office is here tonight as well. He's in the room with me. I don't know the last time we had one with Custer County. I think it's been quite a while.
It's been quite a number of years.
But why don't I say 16? Okay, 2016 or 17 is possibly what Steve's thinking right now off the top of his head. But maybe what we can do in the interim, if you get your number and information you can give to Bruce, and Bruce can get that on to Steve, but we can get a call set up, kind of talk through some of that things. What could it be included in that? What could it look like? That might be a good step, but I'm not saying that's a silver bullet. It kind of, again, helps to kind of set the table for what the issues are and maybe how to mitigate or how to move forward to address them.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I have thought about the long range planning grant that has been available. Custer County's been very fortunate, and I thank the DOT. We have taken advantage of some access road funding for park projects, access to Custer Park that are county roads anyway. I cannot tell you how appreciative that the county is of the big program. Currently, the big program has left Custer County in a really good position. Our structures are in excellent shape.
Good.
We don't have a lot of worries on our inspectable structures. I can now focus, because of big, I can now focus on some of our smaller structures.
Yep.
We've gotten a lot of help there through the rural access infrastructure funds. That has saved our bacon on quite a few of those smaller structures too. I'm really worried about the amount of people that we're seeing coming in and the stress it puts on all of our roads.
Yep. I understand. I hear you. I'm glad to hear you're taking advantage of the Rural Access Infrastructure Fund, the RAFE program. It's a really heck of an opportunity for our local governments to address some of those, they're non-structure linked structures, for lack of a better term, but the big ones, bigger than 6 foot, I think, in diameter, but not quite a bridge by federal law and state law. So I'm glad to hear you're taking advantage of that too.
We are, and really the main reason we've been able to is because Custer County doesn't have any incorporated township.
Sure.
So that by default comes back to the highway, which has been a lifesaver. It has really helped us.
Well, I've heard some good things with those counties that have the townships too, where townships have issues with those large structures, and so I think it's working on both ways. I'm glad to hear that it's really working well for you. I think the best step as we move forward, Steve is here, so I know Bruce can get your contact information. You guys can get something set up and maybe just talk through what that might look like from a planning standpoint. Again, kind of get everything on the table, and it kind of helps do that in order to develop a plan. So that might be a good step, but I'm sure you and Steve can have a conversation about it. You've already had quite a bit with Bruce, the way it sounds, and kind of lay out some of the issues, and Steve can share those back as well.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Well, thanks for coming over, Jess. Appreciate you coming out tonight and taking time out of your schedule. I know what it's like when you're working like that, and you don't always want to spend an extra couple hours out. So I appreciate you coming out and sharing your thoughts.
Absolutely, you're welcome, and thank you guys.
Looks like Mr. Seaman, you have somebody in the Rapid City region?
Yes, sir, Mr. Beam. Gary, would you like to make a comment?
Sure. This is Gary McGriff, and I'm just a local citizen, but I've been on the Citizens Advisory for, I think, 3 years, maybe even 4 years, 3 years, I think, on the Rapid City MPO. And so I probably am ahead of a lot of people as far as knowing what projects are coming out. So one project I wanted to address tonight, which I've addressed at our meetings. And there's things within the city, but in this case, it's one of roughly 3 routes, like truck routes, I guess, that come into the city is Deadwood Avenue. And there is no sidewalk or pedestrian access along Deadwood Avenue for a couple of miles to get East Omaha. And I'm a walker. I walk downtown to get groceries and go to the bank, things like that, or bicycle. Now I'm mainly walking, but across the street from us is a low-income senior house. And I see this guy, Joe, who goes downtown with he updated to a used e-bike. And I think he's 82 now, but he somehow gets out of our neighborhood and uses his bike. And I see him pedaling around in the north part of downtown. And how he gets across Deadwood Avenue is beyond me, because I've seen him on a little bit of sidewalk. We have a couple blocks of sidewalk on the west side of north of Omaha. But there's a dirt trail. It's actually developed into two dirt trails that us bicyclists and pedestrians use in the ditch to get from Commerce Road, the mile down to Omaha. It's just, that's not a legal way, but that's how we get there. Try, just get off of the main highway. And there's really no safe way between the Interstate I-90 and Omaha to get across Deadwood as a pedestrian. And so I think the project is called 214. And scheduled now, at least it's scheduled for 2030. But my concern is we're going to lose people before then, because, for example, today, Commerce, there's only two ways to get out of our area, and that is, there's 14 apartment complexes and basically 55 and older housing in this industrial area. And they closed off Commerce today. So there's only one access to get out of that legally, and that is to go on the north route to Deadwood. There is another dirt path now that they've opened the fence up that we can walk that way through private property and get out to the east. But my real concern is that you have a project with no bicycle lanes, no pedestrian lanes, just no legal way to get out there without going on a highway that's labeled 45 miles an hour, but it's, obviously go faster than that. So it's just not safe. And besides, we're trying to get trucks and cars off of roads and people using sidewalks and bikes. And so that brings me to the other topic, and I appreciate hearing the comments from Custer County, because I just thought of another thing that I brought up at the MPO, and this affects both state highways as well as obviously more so in the cities. But that is that there are an ever increasing number of 1, 2, 3, and 4-wheel electrified, I'll call them motor vehicles or non-motor vehicles. It's got a motor, it's electric motor, but we have scooters, 2-wheel scooters flying down our hill near our place at, anywhere from they're probably 7 years old to 15 years old. There's 1-wheel vehicles, there's 3-wheel vehicles, there's 4-wheel vehicles, there's no speed limits, there's no designated areas, and it's just continually increasing. So I would encourage the Department of Transportation, as you're looking to the future, to look at these new types of 1, 2, 3, and 4-wheel vehicles that are electrified, and consider where they're going to be. Where are they going to be on sidewalks, and what's the speed limits? Are they going to be on the streets, and are there going to be designated lanes in the future? E-bikes now and ATVs can go 50 miles an hour. It's just on some of the bike trails, they probably try to max out the speeds on stretches. So there needs to be, state transportation, I think, needs to look at these new vehicles coming onto it.
Gary, thanks for the comments. I appreciate it. First of all, or I guess secondly, sincerely, thank you for your comments. Thanks for coming out tonight and sharing your ideas and thoughts. And two, thanks for serving on the Citizens Advisory Committee. That's an important way to hear what's going on within the Metropolitan Planning Organization. That information feeds right back to the department. So thank you for doing that. I know, again, it takes time out of your schedule to do it, but it sounds like you're actively engaged in it. So thanks for doing that. As far as the project on Deadwood Avenue, yeah, you're exactly right. We got a project planned in 2030, and it's going to go from Omaha pretty much all the way up through the interchange to add sidewalk. We got lighting, we got curb ramps, quite a bit of work. I think the project itself is estimated right now at a little over $9 million to do that work. And with that, I will commit, we can take a look at the schedule where we're sitting on that in order to move the project forward. I don't know if you were in the meeting room when I mentioned the funding that we use and the federal funds that we have. About 70% of our program is federal funding. So just so you know, from a concept standpoint, it takes about 6 to 8 years for a project to go from an idea to construction. There's just quite a few steps that we need to go through to ensure that we're meeting all the federal requirements. So my point on that is I can't guarantee you that we can move up Deadwood Avenue, but we will take a look and see where we're sitting from a schedule on that one for sure. Maybe another point on that, we are in the process right now of a planning study looking at essentially walking and biking statewide and helping to prioritize where some of those investments should be. We have what's called the Transportation Alternatives Program, which is really focused on that non-motorized user. And with that, we're trying to get a better idea how to prioritize the needs out there. So locations like Deadwood Avenue, for example, aren't, a surprise, and help kind of prioritize those and get some good ideas moving forward. So appreciate that. Your second comment on the micro mobility is kind of the term we're hearing nationally on that, which is kind of the e-bike or the scooters and some of those other things we're seeing out there. That's that pretty tough nut to crack right now. Bicyclists, they're allowed to use the roadway like a vehicle is. So, drawing the line between electric powered versus human powered has kind of been an issue, but I hear you on that one. And I can commit to our safety team's we'll take a look and see what we're seeing a spike in crashes or incidents relating to it. Just anecdotally, I can agree with you. The ones that I've seen, they're moving pretty darn quick and not something that a driver is usually going to expect, and maybe not always obeying the rules of the road. So I see that as a challenge moving forward too, especially the speeds on some of those things. It's definitely a challenge. So again, thanks for coming out tonight, Gary. Hopefully I addressed the concerns as best I can right now. We will take a look at that Deadwood Avenue schedule, see if there's anything we do to move that around. And then also I understand your concerns on the mobility or the micro mobility things that are out there. And I know that's something that our team has been thinking about and looking at, but we'll definitely take a closer look too. So appreciate that.
Just one more comment along that line. What I'm seeing is that the children are starting to use those as ways of getting to school or to the pool and things like that. And they're electrified. Most common right now seems to be electrified two wheels. We call them boards or I don't know, roller boards or what they call them, but they're not using their feet at all. They're just standing on there and going down hills and up hills and everything else. And then you get to a certain age and then they break towards more of the bicycle. And then you get towards us older people and it's almost exclusively e-bikes. But there is some, I'll call it people in the 20s to 40s using one wheel outfits and they move along pretty good. And obviously on sidewalks, but there's really no structure or even safety training on where they should be riding and what the speeds should be. So that maybe needs to be addressed in different age groups and in different audiences.
Yeah, great point. I think communication and education goes a long way when it relates to, those types of mobility devices, for lack of a better term. And I think that brings up a good point. We can definitely visit with our partners on that. Is there anything that they're doing to help improve some communication, some education on that? It's definitely growing. It's a growing area.
And I guess I just would like to see some kind of policy on what we plan on developing and how we're going to develop it, and who's going to be involved in that, things like that.
And just be upfront with you too. DOT's got relatively little role in this area, for lack of a better term, or authority on it. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't have communications and start having some conversations about what can be done, because a lot of these, are being used on the state highways, are being used on the city streets. And again, something that I think we can take a look at. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Go ahead and raise your hand in Zoom, or if you're on the phone, you can hit *9 or *6, excuse me, to unmute. All right, as we're waiting for the next individual to come up, we'll give it a couple minutes, but a couple things I did want to mention again. The meeting is being recorded, so we're going to have that available hopefully on our website here in the next couple days. So either Friday or Monday, depending upon how quick the download goes and all the good stuff, transitioning stuff. So we should have that available. We will be taking comments again through July 31st. So if you want to share the information with somebody else, maybe one of your friends or coworkers, or maybe folks you know, please do that. Share and share alike so that we can get more comments and input from the public on your transportation system. So we will be taking comments until July 31st. At that point in time, we'll be summarizing the comments up, modifying anything that we can in the STIP, and then moving forward with submitting that to our Transportation Commission for their consideration at their August meeting. So that's kind of the timeframes that we have planned for that. After that's complete, if the commission approves the STIP, that document will then go to Federal Highway Administration and then Federal Transit Administration for their review and consideration, with theory being that it's approved prior to October 1st of this year. And after that, the new federal fiscal year will start on October 1st of 2026. The one hitch in our giddy up on that, of course, is we do not have a federal bill at this point in time, as I mentioned earlier, so we don't necessarily know where our funding levels will be going into the next year. So we'll have to kind of monitor that. And as the bill is passed, we'll have to make adjustments. And it's quite common that adjustments are made to the construction program. They happen about every month on a different project here or there, where maybe a year changes or an improvement type is modified. So again, this isn't a one-time only deal. It will be continually monitored and modified as needed throughout the year. Again, I'd ask for any comments from anyone on the call right now. If you have one on Zoom, go ahead and raise your hand so we can call on you. And if you're having trouble with the raising hand function, just go ahead and unmute. That would work too right now. So again, anyone that's got a comment or a question. All right, last call for comments and questions. That usually draws one out of the bushes. If there is anything, again, please, if there's any comments or questions, go ahead and unmute. All right, I'm going to kind of close things up then. Folks, again, I want to thank you for joining us tonight and being an active stakeholder in the future of transportation here in South Dakota. I think we had a great conversation here tonight on a couple topics that did come up. Again, I would ask you to please share this information, share the opportunity to comment, have a conversation. I know Steve was taking notes here about following up with Jess, so hopefully we can get that meeting moving forward as well. And Gary, again, thank you for your comments on Deadwood and e-bikes and the challenges we're kind of seeing there too. With that, I'm going to go ahead and close. Oh, looks like we got one new possibly. Do we have a new comment coming in? Nope. It was just a chat. False positive there. So, all right, everybody, thanks again for coming out tonight. Thanks for joining us on your couch or wherever you were. Again, buckle up. Next time you're behind the wheel, put the phone away and drive safe. Thanks again.